how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good.
How were finals?
Pretty good. It was stressful with the whole quarantine thing online, but got through it.
Well, hey, at least you got through it, right?
Yeah. One more year down, one more to go.
So what are you going for exactly?
I'm going for my doctorate in physical therapy.
Wow, okay. Well, doctor, I guess. Okay. How's that been?
It's been really good so far. I get to go on. I've gone on one clinical, which is like the best part because I get to actually go out and like do what I want to do.
Right.
And this coming year, we have a clinical in the summer, and then classes in the fall, and then a clinical in the spring. So it's kind of easy sailing from here.
Would the quarantine thing mess that up at all?
Yeah, as of right now, I don't have a clinical for the summer.
I figured it would change things a little
bit.
But
yeah, it was worse for the kids that are graduating this year,
right?
Because you have to get a certain number of hours before you can sit for the boards, and so a lot of them were like struggling. But like the governing body of PTs changed the requirements, so
okay. Well, at least that's good. But you also have another year, so. Now, I guess that's a good first question. How did you decide to get into physical therapy?
I've always really liked medicine and like the medical field, but I don't like any of the like blood and stuff like that. And so I think it started when my dad went to physical therapy when I was younger. And I thought it was cool, like I can like pop my shoulder out. So I went with him and I was like, hey guys, look at this. And they were like, oh, please don't do that anymore. And they like gave me exercises even though it was his physical therapy session. And I was like, oh, these people are kind of cool. And so that kind of sparked my interest of it. And then I think it really took off when Mallory tore her ACL and then tore it again. And tore it again. And that was kind of I was like, okay, I'm actually getting to see what these people do
right
for a living, and I really enjoyed it. And then I did New Visions my senior year, and that I was in the hospital for all of my senior year. We took classes in the morning, and in the afternoon we shadowed a whole bunch of different specialties. Like we did the ER, we did the operating room, we even shadowed like the house cleaners and everything. Wow. Anyone that works in the hospital, we did. And so I think that helped me like make sure that physical therapy was what I wanted, but also showed me like all the other sides of it, which was like, okay, I like this, but I can't be doing this forever. Right. And then physical therapy is like, yeah, this fits.
Well, at least you found something that you like, and I mean, you have to like commit to it because you said like doctorate, so it's not just like not just like an easy 4 year.
Yeah. It was definitely a commitment. It factored into like picking schools to an undergrad because Mallory right now, she just graduated 2 days ago from her undergrad because she did it in 3 years and is going to get her doctorate in the next 3 years. And that's like a program that you can enter as a PT student. If you pick it as a freshman, you can do 3+3. And so I was looking at some schools for that, but then as far as like volleyball went, I was like, okay, well, I get to play volleyball for only 3 years. Like it limits the amount of schools I can look at. And I was like 99% sure that I wanted to be a physical therapist, but I was like, I want that 1% to just kind of like have my 4 years of school, make sure it's what I want, and then I can apply later.
So you just like answered like one question of mine. So like you just cut this down by a little bit because I was going to ask how you picked Sienna. So I guess that's kind of
there's other things to it though.
Okay, so let's continue on.
Okay. Well, I had narrowed it down to about 3 schools. I had Sienna, Lock Haven, which is a D2 school in Pennsylvania, and then Hartford in Connecticut. And so Hartford was offering the 3+3 program for physical therapy. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll do that. I don't know. Lock Haven was a great school. I went to a camp there. I loved it. I loved the coach. But I just like, it didn't feel right. Like, I just was on that campus. I'm just like, I can't live here for 4 years. It was just like too industrial looking and stuff for me. And Sienna was just like, it just meshed. Like, I met the coach, but like when I met the coach, he brought in players, and like that just made me feel more at home, where I'm just like, okay, they are gonna come hang out with him. Like they just walk into his office and say hi. Like it's just like a family.
Mm-hmm.
And the campus is so enclosed, like there's no roads or anything going through it. Like there's the roads around it and everything, but it's just like so safe and like a little home. And everyone lives on campus. Like unlike all the like houses in Oneonta, everyone, freshmen through seniors, lives on campus at Siena, and I liked that because it was just everyone's always there, everyone's doing everything together, and so I just like it just like felt like home.
Yeah. No, I was driving because I was up in Albany. I went up to see Willie, and he went to Albany Pharmacy, and we were just driving, and all of a sudden, like we drove by Siena, and I was like, wait, what? Like I didn't even like realize like we were close to the school. It was like all like close in, as you said, or something like that. So it was like kind of cool.
Yeah, like you don't even notice it from the side of the road. You see maybe like 2 or 3 buildings.
Yeah.
And, like it's all enclosed in there, and that's what I liked about it.
Yeah, and I was like, wait, that's like Siena? He's like, yeah. I was like, is that like the only part of Siena? Like he's like, well, there's more like in there, but I was like, okay, well, cool, I guess, but all right.
Yeah, we're tiny.
But you talked about volleyball, and I was obviously going to get to that, and not to like reverse order from like because you started in college, but how did you start playing volleyball? Because like I don't know anything like about youth volleyball or anything like that. So how did that start? I was trying to think about that the other day. I don't know. My first memory is me in modified in 7th grade. And I'm not sure how I got there because I had always, I was playing soccer all of youth, like during the like Neowal Park Rec League stuff. Like that's what I was doing. I was playing for the Oneonta Soccer Club. And all of a sudden, like my memory just jumps and I'm in modified volleyball. I'm sure somewhere along the way someone was like, oh, you're tall, go try this sport. And so I did that. And then in 8th grade, me and Rachel Griffin tried out for junior varsity, and we said, okay, we're going to go try out for JV, and if we don't make it, then we're going to quit and go play soccer. Because all our friends play soccer, and volleyball is just such an unknown sport that we're just like, okay, we're either going to make it or we're going to stop and go have fun with our friends. And we both made it. Well, I mean, so it worked out, obviously.
Yeah, eventually.
Well, yeah, but that's so weird that, like, you don't, like, remember, like, as you said, you're thinking about it, like, you don't remember, like, where that switch was.
Yeah, I think I just wanted to be, like, different in some way. Like, everyone, like, Oneonta's such a soccer, basketball, softball. Like, that's what I think about when, like, the 3 sports for girls in Oneonta. And I think I just didn't want to be another one of the soccer players because I'm just like, there's enough talent there. I'm not that good. I'm like, I have long legs, and that's the only reason I'm fast. Like, I'm not actually that fast. I can't keep up with anyone. I'm like, I'm gonna go try this.
Okay, well, yeah, and you said basketball, I mean, too, and then softball, but you didn't play softball either, but we'll get to that. So what made you start, like, committing more time to volleyball, other than just, like, to be different?
I think it was the summer going into my 9th grade year. Ferrara made us go to the Suco volleyball camp that the college put on every summer. It was like our kind of like team camp where everyone was required to go, but like we'd be mixed in with all the other players. And from JV, my 8th grade year, to my 9th grade year, something just happened over the summer where like everything clicked, and like all of a sudden I knew how to hit a volleyball. I knew how to do like passing, like stuff that I look like a baby giraffe trying to learn how to walk in 8th grade. And then in 9th grade, all of a sudden, like something happened over that summer, and the JV coach was like, how did you end up on the highest court? Like, you literally couldn't play volleyball last year. And I was like, I don't know, they put me here. And she was like, okay. And she watched a few games, and she was like, oh, okay, like you actually improved. And I think that improvement is what made me think like, oh, I can keep going, I can keep improving, which is like, I hate being stagnant in anything in life. And so if I'm seeing improvement, then I'm going to be motivated to keep trying, keep improving, and moving up.
That's weird though that you like started so late, and then like you said like you were like not like really that great at it at first, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden like something clicked and like it worked.
Yeah. And then I started going to camps all the time. So I was like, oh,
Mhm.
it must have been the camp. So like my whole summers were spent like going between I did this thing called IREBA, which is like a regional team, and then we would have tryouts over the summer, train for a week, and then go to nationals for a week. And between the week of training and the week of nationals, I would go to a Penn State volleyball camp out in Pennsylvania. And then I'd come back from nationals, and like I remember the one year I did it, I landed from nationals, and the next day I went to the Suco volleyball camp.
Wow.
And so it was just like volleyball, volleyball, volleyball,
Wow.
volleyball, volleyball.
Well, it definitely paid off. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, it obviously did. I mean, I remember we'd have like football practice, and then like your games would be like right after that got done, and we'd stay like, and this is when you were like on varsity, and I remember like staying and just like watching you, and it was just like terrifying. Like I would not want to be on the other side of the net, and then unfortunately, I don't know if you remember, we had like those. I don't know what Spirit Week volleyball tournament or whatever it was.
Mhm.
You played and I was terrified. And I'm lucky that like you didn't like try. I don't think like really hard during that, obviously. But like, yeah, that was just terrifying.
I still remember there was this, I don't remember who tweeted it, but someone said like, oh, if we had a boys volleyball team, we would like kick the girls volleyball team's butt. And you replied to them in a tweet and you were like, no chance, they have Brittney.
I did that?
I was like, oh, thanks. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I don't remember that.
It was like early. I think like I was probably like a sophomore or junior. So
wow. Well, it's true because like, no, you're terrifying. Like I mean that like in the nicest way possible, of course. But like watching you spike the ball, I'm like, oh my gosh, no, like I don't want any part of that. Like, no. So yeah, no, it was amazing, and you're like dominating like certain games and stuff like that. And you obviously had like as you said, Rachel and a couple other teammates that helped you obviously along the way. Was there any teammate? Was it her or was there anyone else that you like really like spent a lot of time practicing stuff with? Because obviously you know you spiked the ball. I don't know positions, okay, so I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm like
all good.
But was there anyone like you really spent a lot of time working at it with?
I pretty much like me and Rachel went to every camp that we could together. Like we went to Hartwick volleyball camps, we went to the Penn State camps together. But then it kind of turned into a team thing. Like whoever was free that weekend, like me, Rachel, Chrissy, Michaela, Maria, Sylvia, like my whole grade, I feel like really just like bought into okay, we're gonna be volleyball players. It's not like a big sport. It's not a name like a big name sport in Oneonta, but like we're gonna make it something while we're here and while we're playing. And I think the same is true for like the grade above me too, with like Kelsey Baker, Haley Dower.
Yeah.
I think like everyone was just so committed to like being the best they could in every sport. And so that like paved the way for us to be like, okay, it's not weird to be like tryhards in this sport. Like
right.
It's like they showed like, okay, it's not a weird person's sport.
Yeah.
We can do it.
No, and like the soccer teams are always really good, but like when you mentioned like Kelsey and Haley and all those, like they played volleyball too. So like the girls soccer team was really good, and then the volleyball team was really good. And then your senior year, you guys won sectionals, right?
Yeah.
And that was like the first time ever, right?
Yeah. And I was reading through my junior year yearbook the other day, and there's like notes in it that say, oh, we had a really good run this year because our junior year was the first year we won like our region or something, like not sectionals, but whatever comes right before it. And so it was the first banner that we were going to get in the gym. And so we were like, that's a big deal. That was my junior year. And then people wrote in the yearbook like, oh, we had a really good year this year. Next year it's going to be tough because like we were losing Kelsey and Haley and all those people that were like such a big part of the team, and we didn't know that there was JV people that could come up and fill those spots. And so we were like, senior year is going to be fun, but we'll see if anything actually happens out of it. And then we went on to win sectionals, which was amazing, but like no one saw that coming.
Well, yeah, I mean, like you guys, I mean, I remember when that happened because I was a junior that year, and it was like, That was amazing. Like, you guys actually went on and won sectionals, and let's see, the soccer team was very good that year too. So it was like girls sports at Oneana were just like dominating like the fall. But like, as you said, like that other sport that like people may not think about, like you guys started having like some real success, obviously.
Yeah, finally. Like our biggest thing was like we want a banner, because like soccer had so many banners, and it's like, but we're the ones practicing in this gym that have to look up and see that our name is nowhere on the wall every year.
So then, moving to college volleyball, how was volleyball at Siena?
It was really fun. It has its like ups and downs, which I'm sure any college program does.
Right.
But I was able to make like really, really good friends. And honestly, like as good as the volleyball was and as fun as it was, like that was the best thing that I got out of it, was like my best friends.
Yeah. And I mean, for you going for what you're going for, like to like, because any like even as Division III athletes, it takes so much time. But for you being a Division I athlete, and then like what you're going for as well, I mean, that's got to take up a lot of time.
Yeah. It definitely did. We had one practice a day for about 3 hours.
Wow.
We had lifting for an hour, and we had individuals for an hour to 2 hours, depending on your class schedule.
Wow.
And so it was like hard working your classes around that, but I just like front loaded everything. I didn't mind waking up. Like the 8 a.m.s, like looking back now, sound like awful classes, but like high school started before that.
Right.
So as long as you like just kept that vibe going from high school, it's like, okay, I'm just going to take the 8 a.m.s and not let myself get in the habit of sleeping in. I was done class by like 12 or 1, and then just like my afternoon was just all volleyball.
Yeah, I did the same thing because I'm a morning person anyway, but like I just felt like get it done and over with, and like then whatever. I mean, I stopped playing sports, but for you it made sense, especially with sports like, you know, in the afternoon and stuff. So that's
and
good.
we weren't allowed to take any of the night classes either unless we were juniors or seniors, because that was when our practice time was.
No.
And so he only allowed the juniors or seniors to take it like if it was needed for graduation, because it just, even just pulling one person out of practice, like regardless of like their position on the team, it's like it messes up the whole practice.
Yeah,
so
right.
That was like a set thing, like you do not take classes at this time. Or just like, yes sir.
Okay. So then going back to high school now, because I feel like, you know, you got everything pretty much said for volleyball. I mean, I'm sure you could talk about it for forever and ever and ever, but
oh yeah.
So then you did play what was a normal sport for basketball. How'd you get started with that?
For basketball, I think that was just in middle school. I can't even think of anything else that was offered in the winter. Besides, I really can't, like, there was no indoor track for middle schoolers, really.
No.
And so, same thing, I was tall. I'm like, I'll be good at this sport. And so, I did that. 7th grade, 8th grade, I was still very uncoordinated and just kind of the tall person. So, it worked out. And then 9th grade, I was on JV, and that was a really good year. I can't remember. Oh no, 9th grade and 10th grade I was on JV, and we won stacks, I think. I don't remember. We had a solid team on JV though. I was excited for when we got to varsity. And then my 10th grade year, the team made it to sectionals and like regionals, as they always do.
Yeah.
And there was some problems. I don't remember exactly what happened, but I ended up being pulled up at the end of 10th grade. And I just remember Mill handing me like this stack of papers and was like, okay, these are the plays and you need to learn them by this weekend.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, I barely know anything about basketball. But then I ended up starting one of like the sectional semifinal game as a 10th grader who had never played on varsity before.
Wow.
And I'm just happy that the team was like nice and just dealt with me not knowing the plays, and like they were good enough to pass like pass around me, like, when I wasn't in the right spot, but it worked out.
Yeah.
Won sectionals that year too, so.
Wow. So did you like
Yeah.
start late in all sports?
I think I was a gymnast when I was younger.
Okay.
And that's where I put all my effort. So I wasn't doing any of like the rec league besides the soccer in the
Right.
park. I was gymnastics every weekend. That was like my thing. And then I got tall and was like, okay, this isn't going to work out anymore. But yeah, I was surprisingly pretty good at that. Won states 1 year for gymnastics.
Wow.
And so, yeah, people don't know that part.
Well, I mean, there we go. Breaking news here. I got to have like an exclusive. That's awesome. So was it just because you got tall is why you stopped gymnastics, or like?
Yes, and because I wanted to be more involved in like the school sports then,
Okay.
and it was practice 3 times a week, and it would interfere with like any school practice. So I was like, yeah, I guess I'll call it good.
Okay. Well, and you already had so much success, right? I mean, might as well stop while you're ahead.
There you go. Yeah, and I also did dance too. I did that until 9th grade. I don't know why. I did not enjoy it. I was not a dancer. But I think it was just like one of those things. You put your little girl in dance class, and I just got out of it kind of late.
Well, I mean, did it like probably help with like maybe footwork, maybe a little bit?
Maybe. I contribute most of it to gymnastics.
Okay.
It contributed to time management skills.
Okay. Well, at least you got something out of it.
Yeah.
Now you did not play softball, but you did do track and field. Did you start that in like modified too?
Yes.
Okay.
I started that. I got kind of an early start on that one.
Okay.
But I started in 7th grade. And then 8th grade, I went to varsity.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like, I felt weird about it. It was just such a like casual thing. They were, one of the high jumpers, Chrissy O'Connor, was just like, oh, you should come try it out. And I'm just like, is that a thing? Like, do I just show up one day and try out varsity? And apparently you do.
Okay.
And then I just stayed.
Well, see, that's the weird thing, like with track. Like, because when I was talking with Bryce, we talked about track a little bit. One thing about track though is like, I don't know if there's tryouts. Like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you just like show up.
I feel like you just show up.
Like, I don't know.
And then they kind of place you where they think you should go.
Yeah, like, I don't really know how that all worked. I mean, like, because I remember, like, playing, like, JV sports in, like, middle school or something like that. Like, you had to try out and, like, and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, like, I didn't run track until sophomore year, but I feel like I just, like, I mean, like, that was sophomore year, but I feel like I just showed up. And, like, as a sophomore, you're still JV. I don't even know if we have a JV track team, but, like...
Yeah, we don't, which I think
I can't
helps
remember.
contribute to that. And the modified team is a team, but it's a bunch of people hanging out together.
Exactly.
And every once in a while, they run a few feet.
Exactly. I remember watching some modified practices, and I was like, "Wait, really? Like, I could have done that."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
But yeah, so 8th grade, you went to varsity, and you were a high jumper. Was there? What else did you do? I don't remember.
In 8th grade, I did high jump, and I think I started learning hurdles then.
Okay.
And then eventually it kind of morphed into being like a pentathlete, which is high jump, long jump, shot put, 100-meter hurdles, and the 800, which all in like as one event. You get counted as like points. And so that's kind of like what I would consider myself. But those, like, you couldn't compete as a pentathlete every meet.
Right.
They only had those for, like, sectionals.
Right.
So you just do those events individually throughout the year. And I never did the 800. I dreaded it. I could not run more than 200 yards. And I would be in first going into that event. It was always the last event. And then Forbes would just like shoot up a prayer and hope that something would happen, that I wouldn't come in last and completely screw up everything I had done the rest of the day.
I remember for me with track, I'm like strictly a sprinter, like long distance, like just forget it. And Cotter, like the first meet, was it your senior year, my junior year, he's like, he put me in like the 400, like one relay, so 1600 meter relay where everyone runs on 400. I'm like, I've never run this. He's like, you'll be fine. I was great the first 300 meters, and then I couldn't even like walk. I was done like the last 100. It was awful. So like I can understand even one more lap why that was like not a good thing.
Yeah, I had people trying to like coach me through it. I don't remember what year it was, but I remember Levi like took it upon himself to like teach me how to be a distance runner like in a day, like before the day of the meet, but like right before the race.
Oh my gosh.
And he was like, okay, you have to warm up at least the distance of your race. And I'm like, I'm not gonna jog at 800. I can't even do a normal 800. And I just like didn't listen. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna sprint as fast as I can, or as long as I can,
and whatever happens,
like jog out whatever's left, because I can't pace myself.
No.
I am not a runner by any means. I have one speed, and then I finished.
Exactly. Like I know exactly where you're coming from. It's like, okay, like I can like sprint, and as long as I can do that, like it's fine, and then I'm done.
Yeah, that's how it was. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna save a little bit of like energy for the last 50 yards. And then I was like, oh no, I have absolutely no energy. This is my max speed. But it worked out, and I only had to do that like for maybe 2 months of the season.
Yeah, so it wasn't
that's
like
also
that
why
bad.
I like didn't train it that hard.
But so we know obviously you did the jumping. What did you think of like the hurdles?
The hurdles, it's hard to say. I liked them because it was the only like race that I did.
Right.
So I liked the atmosphere of like being in a race and like having someone like next to me that I can like one-on-one compete with. Whereas in like high jump is so much more like competing with yourself. Like you're watching the other people jump, but it's like what I do isn't going to affect what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I liked that atmosphere of it. I couldn't get the 3 steps down between the hurdles. And I could do it from maybe the first like 3 or 4. And then I got like too focused on making sure I was taking 3 steps than on like actually running fast and finishing the race. And so I was just like, oh my gosh. It was fine. And I ended up like doing fine at it. But I was like, I'm a field and track athlete, not a track and field athlete.
And then shot put. I tried shot put a little bit my sophomore year. And before that, I had played baseball my whole life. So throwing a shot put like a baseball does not work, just so anyone knows. Like,
yeah,
it just
it was painful.
So what did you think of shot put?
I liked it. I remember like it was like a nice break. Like you had to go behind the school, like kind of get away from everyone else. And it's just like so much different than anything else that's going on like on the track. And I had like pretty good upper body strength from volleyball and basketball anyways. And so it was like a good way to keep it going through the spring. And I definitely didn't have like the skill, like watching Mitch Couch throw anything was amazing. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to try to look like that a little bit and maybe I can do it.
I remember when I started it, like, because older Forbes was like the throwing guy at the time still. And they were like showing me like, you have to like do this like spin thing to throw it. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I don't do that. Like, I can't, I don't know.
Yeah, he gave up on me. I did like this little like squat shuffle and just threw it. And he was like, whatever, it went far enough. We're fine with it.
So, and then obviously you really excelled at the jumping, long and high both. How did you like, I mean, obviously just jumping, I guess, but like, what did you do to like get better at that?
Yeah. I like looking back at it, I didn't realize how like much track was playing into every other sport that I did. I was like, oh, it's just something to do in the spring. But then like looking back, like the best hit I had in volleyball was a slide, which is like when you take off with one leg.
Thank you
which
for
is the same
explaining.
that you take off in high jump. And I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And so like my left leg is like so much stronger than my right leg. But I just got into it actually. That one I started really early in elementary school.
What? How?
Because we had the Valley View Olympics every year.
Okay.
And our gym teacher, Mr. Jackie, had high jump as one of the events. And I was going over it. It was called like a scissor kick, but it was something I'd seen on TV that high jumpers did.
Okay.
It's a very like old school way of doing it, but that's all I knew how to do. And so I loved doing that. And I was so tall, like taller than the guys and the girls in elementary school because girls always grow faster. And so I was just like killing it at high jump there. So when I got to middle school and high school, I was like, oh yeah, this is my sport. I know how to do this. And then no one's going over the bar, like kicking over it. They're all jumping over backwards. And I'm like, oh, I don't know how to do that.
Well, I mean, so you had like sort of a head start on that one though, so.
Little.
So
more than the other sports.
Yeah. So how did you like keep getting better at it? Is it just like as simple as jumping? Because I never got to do the fun jump things.
It's not so much about like the power of the jump. It's everything else.
Oh.
Like it's your body position over the bar, and that's what I struggled with. Like I could jump like this high over the bar, but then I just like flatten out and land on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's about like the timing of like how you arch over the bar and like when you kick your feet to make sure that your back doesn't drop too low to hit the bar.
Mm-hmm.
And I would beat myself up like when my mom would take videos of me high jumping because I would be clearing heights by like 6 inches, but I'd be knocking the bar down like either because I kicked too fast and my like butt hit the bar down, or I didn't kick soon enough and so then my heels dragged the bar down.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like all the timing game, and it's like you have to be able to jump, but you more have to be able to like control your body in the air.
Yeah, because I was watching like, I mean, like you at practice or like, you know, during meets or whatever. I'm like, because I'm trying to like watch like everyone, and you were like really good at it. I was trying to watch, and especially if there's like a 2-mile race going, I'm like, I don't have to watch every second of like, you know, that. So I'm watching everyone like they're jumping and like doing like this weird thing, and I'm like, can't they just like, I don't know, like not move like that? But it shows how much I know. I don't.
Yeah. A lot of weird stuff in there, and like I'm lucky that like I had Christy a few years ahead of me because like watching her, and then she went off to like to college to do that, and that just showed like she knew what she was doing with her body in the air. And then like Natalie too, like I just feel like we had a good group of high jumpers I was like fortunate to watch and be like, okay, what are you doing? And then like just try to mimic it.
Yeah, I remember because I said I didn't start till sophomore year, but that year and then our junior year, the guys and girls team were both really good. And and the thing that's cool about track is like you really do have to like win in like all different areas. You can't just have like a team that's like good at like just like the races or everything. Like, you have to actually like do really well in like all like parts of track. So
yeah, I think that cool like team / individualness of it is like something you don't get in any other sport.
Yeah, and like it was weird for me because I'd always play just like you, a team sport. Like in volleyball, someone sets you up or something like that. Basketball, passing and stuff like that. But track, you really are like the only one doing anything. Like, and it's your turn, so it's like totally different.
Yeah, and that was like so true in high jump. Whereas then like when you're racing, everyone's racing at the same time. Like high jump, we got there at the start of the meet, got our marks, and we were usually the last ones competing at the end of the day. Like it was just took so long. So like even though we were competing with people from the other schools, we were also hanging out with them for 4 to 5 hours during meets and getting to know them, being like, oh, what shoes are you wearing? Oh, what camp did you go to?
Was there any like moment for you like in track that like stood out to you as like your personal favorite?
I really liked stacks. I don't remember what year it was. I think it was my junior year. I'm not sure. I think it was 4 seniors last year as head coach. And I remember we won and we took a victory lap like as a team.
I think
it was like we were the only ones there, everyone else left. It was just like such a like, it was the first time I didn't complain about running a 400 because I was like, I will take this victory lap. It was just like we blew all the teams out of the water, and it was just like such a nice team moment, and it was great. And my sister was on the team then, which was like nice. So it was just like nice.
Now
everything comes together.
Speaking of your sister, what was that like having her as like a teammate? Because she did a lot of the same events as you, right? If I remember.
Yeah, she did hurdles and high jump too. She was also like a better sprinter than I was, probably because of soccer. But I specifically remember I ran the 4x1 with her my senior year, so her freshman year. We had like tryouts for it. Dan Forbes just brought all the girls down. He was like, okay, we're just gonna run 100. The 4 fastest people are gonna be in the 4x1 team. And I finished, and he goes, how are you one of the top 4 fastest girls? He goes, we're so slow. And he's my neighbor, so there's no problem like saying any of this to me. Like, it comes home with me, like, get shit all the time for it. And he's just like, I don't know how you beat anyone. And I was just like, I have really long legs, and I just like leaped down the 100. And he's like, well, okay, you're in the 4x1 team then. And I remember like just me and Mallory both running that race. We couldn't hand off to each other because like we just get too frustrated. I would have made her practice at home. It would have gotten annoying. But that was a really fun event to run with her. I ended up not doing it that long just because like running between hurdles and 4x1 and high jump and shot put, it was like too spread out. But doing that and high jump with her were really fun, except for when she almost beat me in high jump. That wasn't fun.
I don't know about that. What?
Yeah. It was at Oneonta. I think it was the Oneonta Invitational. I was just having a bad day. I think I only cleared 4:10, and I think she finally cleared 4:10. It was like her first time, and I was just like, no. Like, I'm proud of you, but at the same time, like, wait a year.
Yeah.
I'm about to graduate. And I think I like cleared one more height, and like for the sole reason of being like, I am a foot taller than you, and I need to be able to like have this. And so then I beat her, but it was a close one.
Did you give her any like advice on it or anything like that?
Yeah, we went back and forth. Like I said, it's so much of the body position, and you can't see that for yourself. So we'd sit like on the bar line for each other and like watch and be like, oh, you kicked too fast, like oh, you jumped too far away from the bar, and just like constantly giving feedback, especially because Natalie and Christy, the girls who I had always jumped with before, weren't there anymore. And so I had so much feedback before, and then I had nothing. And so I like taught her all of it so that she could then teach me and give me feedback on everything.
And you know she'll be brutally honest with you, just like you with her, because you're sisters, of course. So.
Oh yeah, she would just be like, "That one sucked. I have nothing to tell you."
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So, then you move on, as I said, to Siena, and then now you went on to grad school, and you went to what for grad school?
I'm at Plymouth State in New Hampshire right now.
Okay, so how did you decide on that one?
I applied to quite a few, and I got in. I only applied to like East Coast ones, like literally from Maine to Florida. And I got into one in New Hampshire, one in Virginia, and one in Florida. So I basically was like, okay, I just got to choose what area on the coast I want to live on. Florida was too hot. Virginia is like it was right outside of DC, and I was like, that is expensive and crowded. And I was like, I'm just gonna go move into the mountains, move to New Hampshire, and then, which I loved because I picked up skiing, which is like one of my favorite sports now.
Wow.
So
really? Well, I mean,
yeah, I mean we lived right at the base of the White Mountains, and college passes are so cheap that we just had to.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I guess if you live in New Hampshire, I guess you kind of have to pick that up, right? I mean, like.
Yeah. You gotta become like a ski bum and a hiker all year round. Requirements.
Oh my gosh. Did it snow there recently? Because it just snowed here.
Yeah, it's snowing today.
Oh my God. Well, maybe you can go back out and ski some more.
I also have a sunburn though, so don't let it fool you. It was like 72 days ago, and I was just too excited for the sun. So.
Well, that's great though. So you went to New Hampshire then, of course. How has like this process after your 4 years of college been?
It's been like bittersweet because all my friends were younger than me. My roommate was a junior and our other good friend was a sophomore. So the sophomore, she's just graduating college now. Mm-hmm. So they've still been in the Siena volleyball program. Mm-hmm. And it's been like great to be like still a part of it, like through them. But at the same time, it's like sad to watch everything that they're going through. And I'm just like, I want to be there. I wanted to finish this out with you.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's definitely different. Mm-hmm. I like postponing the adult world by going to more school, but sooner or later I'm going to have to get out there.
Now, how about school-wise? What is that like, getting your doctorate?
It's challenging, but it's all stuff I want to be learning, mm-hmm. which is nice. Whereas in like undergrad, like I was taking English and history, where it's like interesting classes, but like doesn't apply to physical therapy at all. And so now it's like finally all about like anatomy and physiology and like more about what I'm actually going to be doing in the real world. Mm-hmm. And although like I thought going into it, I'm just like, I love physical therapy. I'm going to love everything about PT school. I was like, oh wait, there's a lot of sides of physical therapy that I did not plan for. As an athlete, I want to be like a sports physical therapist.
Right.
But then there's the whole like inpatient, like geriatric burn care, like stuff that I'm just like, yeah, it's important, but like I don't really want to do that, so I don't have like such a desire to learn it.
What is the workload like for common people like me who have no plans of getting their doctorate in anything because, well, just not smart enough? What is it like?
It's a lot, but it's the same number of credits that like normal college was. We take between 12 and 15 a semester, but we have 3 semesters a year, so we go every summer.
Okay.
And so that scared me going in, like doing the math. I'm like, I'm going to be taking more credits in 3 years than I did in my 4 years of undergrad. Mm-hmm. But then factoring in that 3 of those semesters or a whole year is clinical and just going out and like working and practicing, it makes it like way more manageable. Mm-hmm. And being a former college athlete, like it's not too stressful because now it's studying instead of practice. But like the time management skills from being an athlete just transferred like seamlessly into grad school.
Yeah, and so that's one way that, playing sports does help you manage your time for sure. So when you get done, are you going to like become a professor of college too and be Dr. Herrick and teach?
It's DPT, which is Doctor of Physical Therapy, but I still like technically can't go by Dr. Herrick, which I plan on forcing my family to tell me for at least a few years. But I could teach. I'm not really interested in that. I'm way more like hands-on treating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you ever coach? Because you played so many sports. Would you ever consider doing that?
So I coached last year. I actually found a little volleyball club up in New Hampshire and coached their 16-year-old gold team. And it was really fun. Like the level of play in New Hampshire is so different than New York. Like the 16-year-olds either haven't touched a volleyball or they're like killing it.
Wow.
And it's like hard to put them all on one team together, and like everyone's paying, so everyone should get equal playing time and everything. But it was great to like watch them like bond, and like it brought me back to when I played club, because I only played for 1 year. I only played my junior year, but those are like some of my like best memories of like travel volleyball, and just like you get so close with this group of like few people that you spend all of your time with.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, I miss that.
Yeah. I just didn't know if like that was something, because you've obviously played and you volleyball specifically, like, you know, for a long time. I didn't know if that was ever like something you wanted to like coach as well.
Yeah, I consider it. I was a ref this year. I stopped coaching so I could become a volleyball ref.
Wow, how was that?
It was good. I unfortunately got to do one tournament before the virus canceled all the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, oh, being on this side, I'm sorry I ever yelled at any of the refs. Like, you're just trying your best. But I like it. Pays better than coaching.
It's got to be weird being on the other side of things, being a referee.
Yeah, it definitely was. I was like, oh, I never realized how fast this game went, and it's so hard for one person to watch it. But it was also like, my problem as a ref was like, I was getting caught up in like watching the game instead of like watching the technical things I was supposed to be watching. And I was just like, oh, this is good volleyball. And then I was like, oh, I should be doing my job.
Yeah, I can see how that might, you know, prevent you from like, you know, doing too good of a job at that, but that's all right.
Yeah.
So that's all great. And then you're obviously still with Emerson, of course, right? And big announcement like recently, right? Like sort of recent, right?
Yeah. Yeah, in November we got engaged.
There you go. So I mean, like, it's not like super recent, but like recent enough, like in my timeline.
Yeah,
like...
close enough. Feels recent.
So how is that?
It was great. He surprised my whole family except for my dad. He asked my dad for permission, so that was nice. But then he proposed on Thanksgiving when like my grandma and my uncle and my cousins were all there. So it was like a nice time to like have everyone around. And I just like, I came in, we were at the Otasaga and we were outside and I came in and I was just crying and my mom's like, what happened? What happened? How did you get hurt? So I'm like, I'm prone to just like getting hurt in stupid ways. I was like, no. And I was like holding my hand. I was like, you hurt your hand? And I'm like, no, look at my hand. She's like, oh my God, you're engaged.
That's amazing. That is so amazing.
It was a great time.
It is so amazing. And it's so amazing that like no one except your dad knew, so like threw everyone off, and like as you said, like your mom, like you came back in tears. Your mom was like thinking something bad happened or something like that.
She was just like, "How did you fall off the balcony?"
So that's great. I'm obviously, as I told you, I want to, you know, ask him because he was an amazing tennis player, of course. So I'm gonna have to talk to him at some point with this. But that is so great for you guys living out there. And I won't ask you too many questions about him because then there's no point in me, you know, talking to him. But yeah, so I'm just so happy for both of you guys. I mean, you've been together since, I don't know, I can remember, but
yeah, sophomore year.
Yeah, and you guys are just always, I mean, it was great, and I'm happy that like you guys are still happy and everything's going very well for you. And
yeah, thank you. And we have a little puppy. She's not that little. She's almost 2 now, but
wow. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So, congratulations on everything. I'm so happy that you did this. Like, I reached out to you and I was like, I don't know if she'll say yeah or not, but like, it's worth a shot, you know?
Oh, definitely.
Because like, no, I don't remember that tweet, but like, I always watched you and I was like, she is so good at everything she does. And then like, when I started track, I got sort of a closer up, like, view of like everything that you did, and you're just like an amazing athlete, and then you had success obviously, but now even more importantly you're doing like even bigger things with like your DPT. I got it now.
Yeah, there you go.
So I was like, I have to, you know, get a hold of you and like, you know, have this like conversation about everything, especially because like I don't know anything about youth volleyball.
Yeah,
but little did I know you didn't start till like modified either. So
yeah, they're trying to, I know our junior and senior year, they were like trying to do like a boys and girls club volleyball thing. But the girls that we coached our junior and senior year are like juniors or seniors in high school now. So I don't know if that's still going on, but I know they're trying to get it to be more of a sport.
Yeah.
And I know more girls like are playing club volleyball now too. Farah has the club at Oneana, which is great, but they're also like branching out into like LVC is a club I played for in Albany, and like we traveled to like DC and I don't know, we went all over, but we had like huge tournaments, Pittsburgh all the time, and it was a great experience and like so much more like volleyball intensive and like higher level than Oneana can offer. And so like more people are getting out and doing that and then bringing that level back to Oneana, which is really good.
Yeah, and you were definitely someone, I mean, I don't know, like, if this is, like, going to throw you off, but, like, a role model in, like, going to, like, all those different camps and putting so much time into it. And that's another reason why, like, I got you, because I don't follow volleyball too much, but I was like, she's, like, probably the greatest volleyball player, like, I've ever seen. Well, like, I'm just being honest. As I said, like, you, like, scared me during that Spirit Week, and that's why, and, like, so I was like, I have to... But no, you really are. You spent so much time at it, and then went on and played Division I and stuff. And that's why I also asked if you ever considered coaching, because going through all that experiences yourself, you know, you have a lot to obviously give back and a lot of knowledge. But no, you probably, if not are, one of the greatest volleyball players to go through Oneana, at least. So, yeah, I was like, I have to talk to Brittney. I'm like, you know, I just have to do it.
Thanks.
But if there's nothing else you want to say, I don't know if there is or any like thing like that.
Not that I can think of.
Okay, well then I got everything covered, I guess.
All right.
But thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I hope you and Emerson and your little, well, I guess little dog, all...
she's little. She acts like it.
I hope you guys all stay safe and healthy and happy, and just wish nothing the best for all of you.
Thank you. I hope you're safe and healthy as well.
Thank you. I'll talk to you later, Brittney.
See ya. Bye.